ancient biographies were very different to modern biographies. So an ancient person would really write the life of a significant philosopher or a teacher. And what they would try to do is to lay out the character of that person, the way of life, the way that they conducted themselves and their teaching. And they would also offer that as an example for people to follow. So it was a way, in many ways, of people sort of encountering the teacher firsthand. If you weren't in a position to meet the teacher, you would sort of encounter them through the biography. And I think reading Mark as a biography actually works quite well, because what Mark is often doing is presenting the character of Jesus. Sometimes we don't realize that, I think, because our ideas of character are very different to ancient ideas of character. But Mark does present several different aspects of Jesus. We see him as a great benefactor. People come to him as suppliants, and he heals people, he provides food for people. We also see him as a man in the public sphere, surrounded by other men, and also somebody who's continually fighting off antagonists and always coming out on top. So in many ways, we're presented with a Jesus who, in an ancient culture, actually comes over as an elite male, a manly man. And I think that gives us some kind of insight into what's going on in Mark's Gospel. Of course, that's all inverted later on as we get to the death of Jesus, because Mark wants to show that the central part of Jesus's teaching is that Jesus and also his followers are going to put themselves last, to behave as a servant. And that's exactly what Jesus does. This sort of elite manly man that we've met earlier in the narrative then puts himself last, behaves as a servant, and ends up dying in the most cruel and shameful way of all. So although Jesus' death in Mark's Gospel seems quite strange, it's as far away from a noble death as you can get, but at the same time, it's a perfect example of what he's been teaching people, so that you have to put yourself last. And so Jesus lives and also dies perfectly at one with the teaching in Mark's Gospel. Another important aspect of biographies is that nearly always in the case of a biography of an ancient teacher, there's an invitation to follow them, to imitate them. So people reading their lives model their lives on that person. And throughout Mark's Gospel, that theme of follow me is actually very strong. It's what Jesus says right at the beginning, before he's done anything at all. He hasn't performed any miracles or anything, but he says to his followers, follow me, and they do that. And all the way through the Gospel, there's that theme of follow me, be like Jesus, even as far as death. I mean, Jesus says to his followers, if anyone would want to be like me, let him deny himself. So there's that very strong theme of not only modeling your life on Jesus, but even possibly your death.